Today I thought I'd shake things up a bit and talk about something I am deeply passionate about. Fun fact about this girl right here is that I am a huge fan of horror movies. I'm obsessed with them. Ever since I was a kid, I used to watch them under the sheets at night all by myself because I had no friends who wanted to watch horror movies with me. And still to this day, I haven't found a horror movie buddy, so sign up to be my buddy if you like horror movies as much as I do. I've been trying to pinpoint why I love horror movies so much, and I think it's the being scared aspect of it. I love the feeling of being on the edge of my chair, not knowing what's coming next, and having this just a surge of adrenaline run through my body. I know, I'm weird, but I just love that feeling. And I also think horror movies bring out the best performances from an acting standpoint. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 favorite horror movies. I've got it all down on my notes and I can't wait to share it with you. Also, I have to add, it is a dream of mine as an actress to be in a horror movie. I think I'd really thrive in that genre. I have a lot of unhinged energy and trauma to unleash. So keep your eyes peeled. I might make it happen, you know. Let's get into the first one. Just so you know, I'm not ranking it from my most favorite to least favorite. I don't have any favorites. They're like my babies. I love them all equally. So I'm just giving you a list of the movies that I really like and why I like them. Number 1, the Alien trilogy. And you can't fight me on this because it is just a masterpiece. I grew up watching the whole Alien trilogy. I've been following its journey ever since it started. Well, I wasn't born when it started, but when I was put on this earth, I started watching Alien from the very beginning, and I still have an obsession with it to this day. I would have to say the Alien trilogy was probably the gateway into horror for me. And I do adore horror sci-fi. I think it's a perfect combination. And what I love about the Alien trilogy is that it's a mixture of claustrophobic horror and sci-fi. And I just love that each movie just has this setting of it being like a haunted house in space and a claustrophobic environment where you just can't escape. There's nowhere to run to and you're having to fight against these crazy aliens. I know I said I don't have favorites, but I do. I love the alien Romulus out of all of the movies. That was my favorite one, I would have to say. And people might argue with me on that because they're just all so incredible, but that one really stood out to me. What I loved about Alien Romulus is that it honors its nightmarish predecessors and that classic alien vibe, and the chest bursting scenes, still terrifying, and I still love watching it. I'm going to give you a fun fact about each movie. Starting with the Alien trilogy, Ridley Scott used minimal lighting and real reactions, so the cast members actually didn't know when the chest burster would explode. That moment of shock, 100% genuine. Which makes sense if you're making a horror movie. Like if I was creating one, I wouldn't tell my actors what was happening next to them. I would want them to be genuinely traumatized. Number 2, Bring Her Back. Now this one took me on an emotional roller coaster. I couldn't properly watch it from beginning to end because of how grotesque and intensely dark it was. But regardless of all that, I really enjoyed the movie and it made me feel such intense emotions, and I really respect work that can hit me in that way, especially viewing it from an actor's standpoint. And I have to say, I am the biggest fan of the Philippou brothers. I hope I'm saying their names right, but I just adore their work, and most of the movies on this list is actually from them. And this movie came out recently and I watched it a few weeks ago because someone recommended it to me, and oh my god, was it dark. And Sally Hawkins' performance in it is just so unsettling and so dark. There's no other way of putting it. It was just very unnerving, and she has this beautiful blend of being this sweet foster mother to being this really unhinged, delusional and crazy woman. So I think she just blended the two perfectly and she married them so well together, and the performances were so strong. I won't get into what each movie is about because I don't want to spoil anything, because I end up going off on a rant and I will spoil it for you, but give this one a watch. It's one of my favorites, and I'll give you fun facts about it because I love a good fun fact about movies. It was shot almost entirely at night with a mix of practical and digital effects to keep that eerie realism, and the lead actor apparently did several emotional takes alone in the dark to stay in the right headspace. I mean, that's pure commitment. No, I'm starting to rethink whether I want to be in horror. No, I definitely want to. I don't like the dark. Number 3, Talk to Me by the Filippo brothers. Again, this movie was incredible. I really enjoyed it, and it really kind of gave us like a fresh take on possession, which I loved, and I haven't seen anything quite like this before. And I love that with each movie that they've done, it has a unique twist to it and theme. I just feel like each movie is very different from each other. What I loved about this movie was that it was deeply scary yet deeply emotional at the same time, and there was moral ambiguity tied in as well. The main character, Mia, is grieving the loss of her mother, and her obsession with the spirit world becomes a metaphor for her not being able to let go. The emotional core of the movie gives the scares weight, and also you can feel her depression, you can feel her pain and her fear as well. Also, I'm not going to get into what the ending's about, but it will not only scare you, but it will haunt you. It's just such a great twist. And this one is, I'm probably going to say this about every single movie I'm listing, but you have to watch this one. If you really want to feel haunted, this is the one for you. Fun facts about this movie, and another fun fact that may surprise you, I actually didn't know this until just recently, but the Filippo brothers started as YouTubers and shot this film like an emotional pressure cooker. Most scenes were done in real takes to keep the chaos alive, and the possession scenes, this is one that I wanted to know about. Actors were encouraged to lose control. There was no rehearsal, just full send-off, and you can feel that authenticity. Wow, I would have thought with possession scenes you would have to rehearse it, but I guess it's just whatever takes over you in the moment. On to the next one. I'm sweating, I'm getting nervous. All this talk of horror movies. Coming in at number 4, The Loved Ones, also by the Filippo brothers. Can you tell I'm a fan? Obviously not. This movie is definitely a cult favorite, and also it's one that shocks you and disturbs you and leaves you feeling deeply rattled after watching it. Music to my ears. This movie takes a classic high school trope, asking someone to prom, and it turning into a nightmarish metaphor for heartbreak and obsession. The only way I can describe this movie is that it's horror born from human emotion, not just for shock value, even though it's extremely violent. And you've got an unforgettable villain in this movie, Lola, who's one of horror's most iconic, chilling characters. And she was pretty terrifying to watch. And I would have to say her performance was just out of this world as well. And her character is very sweet, manipulative, and so deranged. So if you're into the prom night nightmare aesthetic, then this is definitely one you should watch. The fun facts about Loved Ones. This was shot in just 4 weeks in Melbourne, and the cast bonded over the fact that most of the film was shot in one claustrophobic house. Robin McLeavy's performance as Lola is terrifying. Apparently she stayed in character between takes. Now that's real method actress madness, I swear. I would be so scared. Number 5 on my list is Barbarian. It kind of begins as like this tense Airbnb thriller, and you think, oh, is the guy who double booked this Airbnb dangerous? And you begin to kind of target him as the main suspect of the movie. And then it switches genres halfway through and you're like, what the hell happened? It kind of just like pulls the rug from underneath you. Again, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin the story, but you really see a major shift. It kind of does like a whole twist, and you find yourself feeling like you're watching a completely different horror movie. This movie is the epitome of taking huge creative risks because each act felt like a different movie, but they all intertwined. So it felt connected from beginning to end. And I just thought it was so clever how they filmed it and how it was all done. So if you want genuine, uncomfortable horror, then this one's for you. And I promise you, you won't get any cheap scares from this one. Now, I'm gonna go into the fun facts about this, and it's quite similar to the other fun fact I shared. The director didn't tell the cast members the full story, so their reactions stayed genuine as the script flipped halfway through. They also shot in Bulgaria, not Detroit, and recreated entire neighborhoods indoors. That's movie magic at its best. On to number 6. Weapons. I went to see this in cinemas recently, and I would have to say this is up there with one of my favorite horror movies I've seen this year. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I know I'm saying that about every single movie. Like I said, I just love every single one of them like my children. And what I loved about this movie is that it has ambiguous, intelligent storytelling. Instead of spelling everything out, it leaves space for interpretation, which is something that I love. And even after watching the movie, it kind of keeps you guessing what was happening, and you kind of fill in the gaps even after the credits roll. The reason why this movie really landed for me is because it feels fresh. It ties in suspense, dark humor, horror, and surreal imagery. There were also some top-notch performances in this movie, and I would have to say my favorite character in this was Gladys. If I dressed up for Halloween, I would have gone as her. I think that's the coolest costume. Next year, I'm gonna go as Gladys. Weapons is definitely the type of movie you could watch over and over and over again and still find something new attached to it. But I'm gonna get into the fun facts now. This one's all about tension, and interestingly, the film's structure mirrors a stage play. The cast had to rehearse long scenes in one take. Director Zach Cregger focused on emotional accuracy over scares. It's horror built from discomfort. Ooh, an actor's dream challenge. On to number 7, Nosferatu, the 2024 version, not the older version. I haven't seen that one yet, I really should. But I really, really loved this movie. I thought the performances were so powerful. Lily Rose Depp was just so breathtaking in this movie, and I would have to say it's one of her strongest performances. And also Bill Skarsgård, I didn't even recognize him as Nosferatu. The voice and the presence he had in that movie was just out of this world. Not only was the storytelling really strong in this, but visually it was just so stunning, and it was just hauntingly gothic and dark and beautiful at the same time. What I also love about this movie is that it reinterprets the vampire myth, yet still staying true to its roots. I wouldn't call this movie a straight up horror film. I would say it's more of an artistic horror that really explores symbolism and a moody feel, which I also love as well. It gives you a break from the intense horrors that I've listed. On to some fun facts about Nosferatu. In the original 1922 version, Max Schreck, I hope I'm saying his name right, was so convincing as a vampire that people thought he actually was one. For the new remake, they used old school lighting and lenses to mimic silent film texture. It's a love letter to performance without dialogue. So yeah, very moody and very artistic, and that's the feel I got from the movie. On to number 8. We are moving into intense territory. Hereditary. Of course that was going to be on my list. Hereditary is often called one of the best modern horror movies because it's psychologically rich and emotionally devastating. Hereditary isn't just about demons and cults, it's about grief, family breakdown, and trauma. The horror in this film feels earned because it grows from the character's pain rather than it being just cheap thrills throughout the whole movie. It's intentional. And of course, Toni Collette is in it, and she delivered one of the most powerful performances in horror history, and she's just absolutely iconic. She's a queen, and I love her work. I think she's had an incredible career, and she is the queen of horror, I have to say. I really love Ari Aster's work as well, and each shot was meticulously composed, and it felt like you were watching a dollhouse from hell. Moving on to fun facts about Hereditary, Ari Aster had Toni Collette rehearse her breakdowns like musical performances. Every scream, every breath. The miniatures in the film, all handmade. It gave actors a sense of playing inside a dollhouse, mirroring the theme of control and fate. How wild is that? What I love and respect in movies in general is just layers of meaning. And in this movie, every symbol from the miniatures to the family tree kind of ties in with the idea of being trapped by fate. It's horror with a purpose, and you can analyze it for hours and hours and hours and still find a new meaning to it. I think you can guess what number 9 is. Of course, it's another Ari Aster, Midsummer. This movie really flips horror on its head because all the terrifying things happen in bright daylight, and that's very unusual for a horror movie, but I absolutely adored that aspect of this. And Florence Pugh's performance in this was just incredible, and I really want to see her in more horror movies because I think she's just perfect for them. Not only is this movie messed up and it touches on really sensitive topics as well, but visually it's just so stunning. From the costume to the scenery, just everything. It visually looks like a place you want to be, but when you get into the depths of this movie, you don't want to be there, trust me. I like to describe this movie as a breakup movie wrapped in folk horror. On to the fun facts about Midsummer. So they built the entire village from scratch in a real field in Hungary. Everything in frame is handmade. Wow. And the final scene, Florence Pugh said it was mostly improvised. She let her body react however it needed. And yeah, that's raw acting right there. I guess you can't plan those scenes because then it becomes too choreographed and you just have to let the emotions run through you. And to be able to do that as an actor is truly, it must be so liberating and freeing. Last but not least, number 10, Smile 2. I really enjoyed this movie and I wasn't expecting to love it this much, but I just thought it took creepiness to a whole other level and I was just living for it. Naomi Scott's performance totally owns Smile 2, and she takes pure terror and turns it into something heartbreakingly human. The way that this movie plays with guilt, fear, and fame just really gets under your skin and makes you view things in a different way. And I must say, the smiles still trigger you and haunt you even after the credits roll. Fun fact about Smile 2, the film's eerie grin came from the actors themselves, no CGI, and the director, Parker Finn, had them hold smiles until they physically started trembling. Oh my god, that's actually so crazy. I didn't know that. And that's it for my top 10 favorite horror movies. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Go and pick a movie out of my list or just have a movie marathon and watch all of the movies. You won't be disappointed. They're all very strong picks. And I will see you next time.